Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in fact leaving for the United Kingdom later tonight for a 3-day visit that begins tomorrow. This is the first bilateral visit to the United Kingdom by an Indian Prime Minister in 9 years and the third meeting between UK PM David Cameron and Narendra Modi. The focus of the visit will be on boosting ties in trade and enhancing cooperation in combating terrorism. Modi will have a wide-ranging set of talks with his counterpart, and both sides are likely to sign a number of agreements. Ahead of the visit, Prime Minister Modi said that he will explore avenues of more effective economic cooperation with the United Kingdom. The Prime Minister's packed schedule in London includes a lunch with Queen Elizabeth at Buckingham Palace and an address at the British Parliament. He will also speak at a sell-out event at the Wembley Stadium, which will be attended by around 60,000 Indian diaspora.
And it's a special week for Britain and for India because of the extraordinary visit of Prime Minister Modi that we look forward to on Friday. He will be speaking to 60,000 people in Wembley Arena. I don't know what magic he has. I struggle to fill Wembley Town Hall, but it's going to be an extraordinary Friday. But today, of all days, I think it's a moment to reflect on what Diwali means and how it brings us together, and to think for a moment about its origins, its values, and what we're going to be celebrating as Prime Minister Modi comes to Britain this week.
The UK is also the city of London. It's a very important financial centre at a time when we are seeking to attract capital and technology and best practices from abroad. The investment, we have the second largest Indian diaspora in the UK. Persons of Indian origin are roughly about 1.5 million. UK is among our top 5 S&T partners.
Well, we're looking forward to it enormously. We'll be putting forward an idea for a meeting, because obviously the SNP are not just the governing party of Scotland, but the third largest party now in the House of Commons. So obviously when the Prime Minister of the world's largest democracy comes visiting, I mean, any Prime Ministerial visit's important, but the Prime Minister of the world's largest democracy has a particular significance. It's been a while since the last visit, so all the more reason to celebrate the forthcoming one. My only advice to the Prime Minister would be, don't just stay in London. Go to Scotland, because obviously we have a particular relationship with the peoples of India.
It's a first bilateral visit of an Indian Prime Minister to the United Kingdom in almost 9 years. But perhaps one of the most contentious ones as far as Prime Minister Narendra Modi's overseas visits are concerned, coming close on the heels of the defeating crush in the Bihar Assembly elections for the BJP-led alliance. Also, with voices within India accusing this government of growing intolerance, and also that rebellion within the BJP itself, with senior party leaders now targeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself for that humiliating loss in Bihar. So what will be interesting is what will be the tone and tenor of Prime Minister Narendra Modi when he addresses a 70,000 strong Indian diaspora at the Wembley Stadium here in London on 13th of November. But as far as his bilateral agenda goes, clearly trade, commerce will be top of the charts. UK currently has around $22 billion of investment in India, but many of its companies have, of course, been drawn into legal battles, especially on the issue of retrospective taxes. So those assurances will flow in from the Prime Minister, who will also visit, of course, not just 10 Downing Street to hold bilateral talks with Prime Minister David Cameron, but also Chequers, which is David Cameron's countryside residence. Also that meeting with Queen Elizabeth at Buckingham Palace over lunch. But clearly, Narendra Modi, who has been known for courting controversies by politicizing these diaspora addresses, this time around might just have to change the entire, in fact, tone of that speech. Here outside London Victoria Metro Station with video journalist Sanjay Chaudhary, this is Smita Sharma for India Today.
Well, and India Today's Deputy Editor Smita Sharma also spoke to Indian origin scholar in Harvard over the trade agenda of Prime Minister Modi's UK visit.
the UK is still the biggest investor in India. India is still investing increasing amounts in the UK, some very big prominent investments in that list, like Tata Steel and Jaguar Land Rover. And I think that he'll want to put that on a sound economic basis and announce some very dazzling figures at the end, especially after the China visit, where the headline figure of billions of dollars of Chinese investment was the big takeaway for Cameron.
A lot of this is about economic substantials. And here I think there's going to be some degree of tough talk between Cameron and Modi when it comes to British industry dealing in India. There's a degree of cautiousness that has sort of crept into UK Inc. Tax terrorism, the GST, economic reforms, and at some level Bihar's not going to make the headlines, but it's going to impact the Modi visit in terms of UK Inc. looking at the Indian Prime Minister and saying at some level that this is a question of confidence of the Indian people.